agenda adjustments, and this meeting is being audio taped. First on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set of minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Situate, and who's second?
Noel.
Noel. I didn't recognize you, Bobby. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 The
Opposed?
wonder Tom let me in today.
Opposed, none. The motion carries. Okay, we'll go to reports. Treasurer? Jim? So
Good
are
evening.
yours.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Treasurer's report. Again, we have your sports back in action, football, volleyball, spring 2, I think they call it for sports. We have the report through 9 months, March 31st. Cash balances, $6.6 million in all of our accounts. Again, spread throughout the region. And we have about $826,000 in our OPEB account as well. So again, we're holding money there for, again, the future. We don't know what that number is, but it is the future. So, so we'll keep carrying that along. So everything's fine from a financial situation. Our revenue on the page 2 for the current quarter, the current month, I'm sorry. We did do the billing for our member towns, and we have received $1.4 million in payments so far during the month of March. The 2 towns that have not paid, those payments were received in April, so there's no issue with any of the member towns. And then we also received, as normal, down below, our $370,000 of state aid from Chapter 70. And we also received our first installment of regional transportation, which is $307,000. So again, regional transportation looks to be, again, a little bit, it'll probably exceed our budgetary amount by a few $1,000s, which is always good. We are conservative on the budget for the regional transportation, even though we have budgeted more than we had in the previous years. But we got our first payment of $307,000. So overall, received about $2.1 million this past month in revenue, which is great. Down below the first report, we do have the reports as far as all of our out-of-district towns. They have all paid for all of their students for both for the entire year. We bill them twice a year. We made some minor adjustments. The state came out with two different tuition rates last year, right around the same time. So we used one tuition rate for the first bill, and then we fixed it and used the second rate for the second year. That's why the 2 payment numbers are not equal to where they are, as they weren't billed equally during the first 2 segments. So, but overall, revenue is good and everything's going swimmingly. Last page is the expenditures. Overall, $932,000 was expended during the course of the month, mostly on the payroll. Again, $680,000 in payroll. Again, not a lot of surprises. Again, there are a lot of equipment being purchased and so forth throughout the whole system. As we head into the final stretch of the 3 months of the year, Tom and I, along with Janine and Tricia, will be reconciling all sorts of accounts to see what our end of the year numbers look like. With all of the CARES Act money that has been billed through the Plymouth County and other towns, we've billed well over $200,000 of expenses to those entities, and we've received about $121,000. A lot of that is being held in like a grant fund, a revolving fund right now, and that as we get closer to the end of the year, we'll be releasing some of those funds to look at budgetary items. Again, a lot of the CARES Act numbers, the deadlines have been extended over the years based upon the dragging out of the COVID-19 pandemic issues. So we are in good shape. Tom and I will sit down again and scrub the numbers, see where we are for the end of the year, and then move forward with those numbers. So overall, we're in good financial shape. Tricia's done a great job with the payroll again. as always, scrubbing up all sorts of different scenarios. She's currently working on a project for me for the end of the year to see how much savings we have in our budget line items for all of our payroll items. And Janine has done a great job. Again, she's been here a little over a year now, managing a lot of the CARES Act stuff, because again, we send the CARES Act to all of our member towns. And as you can imagine, all member towns have various questions on the same documentation. Some of our expenses fly through no problems. And some towns individually question some of the expenditures. And so she's done a great job keeping on top of that and answering all the questions for all the member towns that we have. So overall, things are running well. So.
I have two questions, Jim.
Yep.
No pay yet?
Yeah, no, I believe so. I believe Noel has paid. They had sent, again, we've sent them out in a couple different billings and so forth. And again, we understand what happens is that once a town gets their number from us, they then have to bottle it up and put it together and then do a lot of their own permutations and combinations and send it out to Plymouth County with their stuff. So there are delays. And if some town might send our package with their package, and if Plymouth County has questions on their package, it will hold up our payments. So, but again, Janine's on top of everything with a lot of the member towns, talking to them on a regular basis, to see if they have any questions and so forth. So we are on target. I can't tell you specifically whether or not Noel has paid all of their monies yet. I don't have that in front of me.
I was interested in the assessment numbers. That's all.
No, they haven't. Neither is my town.
Oh, they have paid all their assessment numbers. So yeah.
Okay, fine.
Noel has paid that. I believe that came in
Yeah. The other question I had, Jim, is I could not seem to balance out your budget transfer for the pupil transport numbers. You were asking for a transfer of what, 176, 675?
Yeah, that's that number, Bob, is every year at the end of that was a surplus we had last year. What happens is that we budget a number for our regional transportation. Say it's $400,000. And then what happens is that based upon, because again, it's always subject to the legislature and their voting and within the state budget of how much they're actually going to reimburse us. And we never know that going into the system, into the budget cycle. So we guesstimate whether it's 60, 65% reimbursement. Sometimes it's 80%. So we get a surplus. And that 176 that Bob's referring to, which is on page 2 at the bottom, which is an actual year-to-date revenue number of regional transportation. Last June and July, when we do our end of the year votes, we had a surplus in the regional transportation of $176,000. So the school committee voted to place that into the regional transportation fund, which is a yearly vote. Once that money goes into the regional transportation fund, it can only stay there for the year. So what happens is that we voted in fiscal 20 as a surplus. We move it into fiscal 21, where now it's a separate revenue source, which helps offset the costs of our transportation costs this year. So it's something that just rolls over from year to year.
You've answered my question,
Okay.
But I couldn't get the lines to balance using that number. But last year is a different year. Okay.
Right, because again, we can't budget that, because when we do the budget in January and February, we don't know what our surplus will be. So we make that that vote in June and July.
I understand.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Bob.
I make a motion, we accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second it, Dan. Okay, whatever.
Dan, second. All right. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Budget transfers.
Yeah, I think we have one budget transfer of $5,000 into the software license renewal account line item. Again, a lot of the softwares, the staff has been using different types of softwares and different teaching techniques. So we've added some licensing in this current year that we haven't had in the past. So that budget is just overspent a little bit. So we're just looking to transfer 5,000. Again, the offset at this point is the travel line item. Again, travel is usually a standard number moving forward. And then a lot of that also includes potential skills travel to out-of-state destinations and so forth. So we haven't been doing the travel in this past year as we had in the past. So there's some identified savings in the travel line item. So.
So
Okay.
moved.
I'll
Situate,
second Hanson.
second by Chris. Any discussion on the budget transfers? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimous. Jim, do you have anything else?
No, I'm all set for tonight.
Okay. The chairman has nothing tonight. Superintendent, Tom, do you want to make any remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly tonight, hello, everybody. A few updates for you. First, on fiscal 22 budget meetings. The calendar has adjusted slightly. So we're due to have town meetings in Hanover, Hanson, and Rockland on Monday, May 3rd. Whitman this week moved its town meeting from May 3rd to early June. The date, and Dan, you can correct me, date will likely be June 2nd with a rain date of June 3rd, or if that doesn't work, possibly as late as June 7th, but it won't be part of that cluster of town meetings in early May. Norwell, previous to this evening, Norwell had previously moved to May 8th, and Abington and Cohasset are still slated for May 24th. We made a presentation to the Cohasset Board of Selectmen on April 13th regarding, no, I'm sorry, I'm transitioning into the next one already, excuse me. The next topic deals with the debt authorization article update I'd like to just spend a minute on. Situate had its town meeting on April 12th, and they passed our debt authorization article as well as our fiscal 22 assessment. And we made a presentation to Cohasset Board of Selectmen on April 13th, and they voted to recommend the article. We'll be presenting to Abington Board of Selectmen on Monday, the 26th, for the debt article. And it's been, the towns have been very willing to communicate, give us time in front of their respective boards of selectmen and finance or advisory committee. So that certainly has been very helpful. One of the items that I'd like to have us talk about at a special upcoming meeting is the fact that the Hanson's Finance Committee voted to not recommend the debt authorization article. The reasons for this largely stem from the difficulty with an upcoming override vote. We all know that this debt authorization article, in order for anything to move forward, is going to have to require essentially the support of all 8 towns. So I'm going to be bringing to you a recommendation to consider taking our phase-in plan and reduce the amount to approximately the equivalent of the first 3 years of the plan. Don't have it on the agenda for a full discussion tonight, but I at least want to let you know that I would be looking to talk to you as soon as we can have another meeting, sometime next week, to lay out what that rationale is and have you weigh in on that prior to any other town meetings being held. So I'll reach out to you, or I'll have Susan reach out to see what your availability is for more discussions for next week. The third item that I have is just to give you an update on space, not outer space, but classroom space. We had a visit at my request from the Department of Education, sent out a nice team of folks. As I look to see the state start to require elementary and middle schools to return to school, high schools are next. I have said at previous meetings, and I have said to the Department of Education that under the current conditions, based on how we've scheduled kids, we'll be one of those schools that will apply for a waiver because of the 3-foot distancing and the size of our classrooms. I think we've done admirable work all year long being in school as much as we have. The reason that I asked these folks to visit was to basically kind of front load the process a bit. I wanted them to come down. Their job is to provide guidance and technical assistance, suggestions perhaps as to how to maximize the use of space. It was a good visit. Short of us making a 750 square foot classroom into 1,000 square feet, there's only so much extra furniture you can take out of those classrooms. So I would envision, you'll probably see this publicized in the news in the next week or so, when they talk about deadlines for high schools to come back. We'll apply for a waiver, and I think that based on what the team sees, they'll have to see that based on our scheduling. Best we can do is pretty much what we're doing right now. There's one more adjustment we can make, and that's something I'm going to talk with our core faculty working group that I've been working with since for the past year about possibly having our kids come in for a full day on the academic week. That's not going to change the number of days they come in the building. Bottom line is we don't have enough space for about 100 kids a day. That's the short, if you will. There's probably about 100 kids a day who are remote. So we've shifted as much as we can to this point, and I applaud everybody for their efforts. So I'll have more to tell you about in the upcoming weeks, but certainly at next month's meeting. It was just a proactive attempt to get DESE, see what I'm talking about, to see our school in action, and they were very impressed with how we had set things up. And they had their tape measures, and it was good dialogue. So I'm glad they were able to come out. The last item that I have, Mr. Chairman, is a MSBA update, which will transition us into the next part of tonight's agenda. The MSBA did not select us, did not invite us into what's called the eligibility period. And as you have had me tell you before, COVID set off all sorts of delays, of course. But as I have said to you in the past, we weren't accepted. We're going to try again. And I'm asking you this evening to authorize me to submit another statement of interest. Good news about submitting a statement of interest is that we can continuously update MSBA on any data we gather, on any changes to our systems and facilities, and it's all available for when they do their review. COVID delayed decisions on the 2020 applications. Just to put this in perspective, normally we are told in December. There's an April deadline to apply, and we're told in December. So everything got shifted, and so now we were told in April that the answer was no. It's a very short turnaround for the 2021 applications. It's on or about June 20th. So my intention would be to get your authorization this evening, and we would tweak the application we have and submit it well in advance of the deadline in late May. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I make that motion.
Second.
Which motion is that, Jack?
Dr. Hickey to write the letter.
Okay, that's very good.
I wish it were a letter.
Yeah, whatever it is.
No, thanks, Jack. Unfortunately, there's a very tortured official motion that would need to be moved once it's read. So thank you for that, Jack. And
Second, Rockland.
I got a solution for that. Jack, if you have it in front of you, could you please read the motion?
Read the motion. Okay, let me just bring it up.
Jack, this would be document 5 in our packet.
Okay, motion to authorize. Now I got to put on my other glasses so I can see it.
That's all right.
Those are my computer glasses. Okay, resolved, having convened in an open meeting on April 21st, 2021, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the South Shore Regional School Committee, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated May 28th, 2021, for South Shore Technical High School, located at 476 Webster Street, Hanover, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Elimination of existing severe overcrowding. Prevention of severe overcrowding expected in a result from increased enrollments. Replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility. Replacement of or additional to obsolete buildings in order to provide for a full range of programs consistent with state and approved local requirements, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the city, town, regional school district to filing an application for funding with Massachusetts School Building Authority. That's a mouthful.
I second.
Thank you, Jack. Who second?
Rockland,
Rockland, Bob, thank you.
without repeating.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Does that
Chairman.
have to be a roll call, Tom?
I don't think it has to be, Bob. It wouldn't, there'd be nothing wrong if you wanted to go, if you wanted to request that. But I don't know if it's required.
Didn't, my cheat slip, it didn't say that, but we can do it.
Yeah, might as
Hanover,
well.
yes. Situate,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Cohasset,
Yes. Whoops.
Rockland,
Yeah,
and Norwell.
Yes.
Okay, still unanimous.
Yeah.
Members,
And Mr. Chairman, you're a yes as well.
yes, I was.
Thank you.
Did I skip myself? Okay, next.
You're being
on the
gracious putting yourself
agenda
last.
is okay. Next is a donation made by Triangle Engineering.
I'll make the motion.
I'll need. a-
Hanson?
Hanson made the motion to accept. Second, Situate. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, motion carries. Warrants, I'm sure we have them somewhere.
Yeah, they actually were printed out earlier today, so I have them here and I'll read them off. Warrants 18A, 19, 19A, 20, and 20A totaling $933,368.67.
I'll make that motion, Whitman.
Whitman made the motion, second by
Cohasset.
Nope.
Norwell. All those, any discussion on the warrants?
they just could have been done a little bit more professional as they always are.
That's what you get for checking in late. All in favor?
Oh, what was he gonna fax to me?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Any requests for action? Seeing none. Mr. Salvucci, motion to adjourn.
Motion with all due respect to adjourn?
Second.
I keep moving my head. Who was that? Cohasset.
Yeah.
Cohasset.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Unanimous. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at whatever time it is.
7:25.
Very good. Any?
Here, everybody.
Anything else, guys? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.